Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Relationship Mastery Series. Principles to a Passionate Life and Relationships and Dynamite Family. And I've pulled together from all over the world 25 wonderful experts that are going to be part of this series. I'm really excited with each one of them, and particularly excited today. And we're going to be able to have these experts share their experience and their knowledge and give you some tips in terms of how to find passionate relationships, how to sustain those, how to repair those, and how that leads over into what happens in families and children, and which is where my deepest passion is. And today we're going to have our main speaker will be Arlene Vasquez Washburn. And Arlene is a leader in the matchmaking industry, but she's also a relationship coach for couples and helping families to sustain love. She's the CEO of the Matchmaking Institute of New York City, and she also founded AV Connections, which is a boutique matchmaking company. Arlene travels around the world speaking to inspire single people, but also as a mentor and a consultant and a coach to other matchmakers. She's a resident relationship expert and ongoing contributor to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life magazine and the radio show. She's passionate about helping women in their relationships to have healthy relationships with themselves and their significant other. And she's also the creator behind the Get Real, Get Love group coaching system for women. The one thing I want to mention is Arlene is generously offered to give a free gift, which she'll be telling you about toward the end of the interview. And so as you stick around, please, we'll be able to tell you exactly how to link over to get that free gift. And so at this point, Arlene, I really want to welcome you. I'm very happy to have you on the series and to hear about your own relationship to this whole process of the passionate lives and relationships and dynamite families.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so passionate about this line of work. I feel that it's my passion. It's what I live for, to help people have healthy relationships. And of course, in turn, the families have wonderful, families when the parents are all getting along, and, and it all kind of reflects on everybody. So it's something I'm very passionate about.
Well, I could sense that, and it's one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on this series, because I think you have particular things to offer that our audience will definitely soak up. And so let's start off, if you would kind of tell us about how you got into this whole relationship world of work and interest, and we can go from there, but I'd like to really hear that.
Thank you so much. So I actually got married, my first marriage, I was very, very young. I met my ex when I was 17. I was married by the time I was 19, had a child at 22, and it all happened so quickly. Unfortunately, things did not work out, and it really got me very curious about what does it take to have a healthy and happy relationship. And I really made the effort. We spent 16 years together. So I embarked on this journey of just self-learning, and I've learned from so many amazing mentors and folks. And then I heard about this thing called matchmaking, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. So I left 20-something year, after 20-something years in the pharmaceutical industry, I got into matchmaking. Mm-hmm. And it was great. I've been very successful. My last client got married for the first time at the age of 60.
All right.
But what I found was that I had to coach along the way. And fortunately, I had already turned my own personal pain into purpose and had a lot of knowledge about what it took to have a great relationship. And I can say that I'm now happily married again to my wonderful life partner, and this is it for me.
Great.
We have the most amazing relationship, but I'm always dissecting and observing and figuring out what are we doing right so that I can share that with other folks. And, you know, a lot of what my knowledge comes from my own personal experiences, as well as all of the learnings and all the mentoring that I've gone through and the training. And you know, there's a lot of data behind my advice to folks. Is not just anecdotal. I do a lot of research, and I follow people who do research themselves so that I can really provide, you know, useful information.
That's great. That's wonderful. And what's your sense in terms of what you've been experiencing, particularly in recent years? I love the combination of utilizing your experience and turning your own pain into passion and purpose. And so I'm wondering, in your recent experience, particularly, what are you noticing is a major problem that comes up for relationships, and also for women who are looking to find that relationship that they really want in their hearts, but haven't been able to manifest it yet?
Yeah, well, a lot of it I have found over and over again, and this goes across the board, not just about relationships, but it's all about mindset. And I spent a lot of time with my clients talking about mindset and, you know, their BS, which is what I affectionately call their belief system. And so
I went somewhere else.
And so what we do is, especially this time of year, it's springtime, I like to tell everyone that it's good to, you know, clean out, like do some spring cleaning of your belief system and make sure that what you believe is, you know, are things that are actually going to support your goals in life. And so the big shift that I'm finding right now in terms of coupling and the difficulties right now is that a lot of women are, you know, and I think you and I talked about this before, more women are getting a college education, women are controlling money, they have a lot more success, and it's creating this kind of bizarre existence in the world where, you know, they have to have to meet their counterpart, that person has to be equally successful, if not more. And it's just creating big challenges. And I want to challenge people into thinking, you know what, for years, you know, it was the other way around, where men were more employed and more educated, etc. And they didn't say, well, you know, I'll only marry someone who has my level of education or the amount of money that I have. So why is that really important? It's like, you know, how do you want to feel really with the person, that significant person in your life? Is it really about them being as wealthy as you, that kind of thing? So, I mean, I just met with a client the other day who's a very, very wealthy woman. She basically said, I just want a man who can support himself, and then I want him to make me feel great, to respect me, to love me. I'm not focused on him having the same amount of money as I do. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
She's been doing her work.
Yeah.
Are there any particular tips that you would like to offer our listeners right now and our viewers that you found is something that can be kind of a corner turner for people?
Yeah, so I've been talking a lot to women that are already in relationships because I feel that, you know, there's a lot of talk right now about health and wellness when it comes to your health, right? And being proactive about not getting sick. Well, I think it's important to equally be proactive about maintaining a good relationship. So if you have a great relationship now, what are the things that you're doing to improve, to maintain, etc. It's like a health and wellness about your relationship. So a lot of the tips, they seem very basic stuff, but I talk to people about just saying thank you for like the regular things that your spouse or significant other does. So when my husband washes the dishes, for example, I'll say, thanks, babe. Or, if he takes out the garbage, even if it's something that you expect or that it falls in their area of what they manage in the household, what you've negotiated, just saying thank you just helps people to feel appreciated and makes them want to do more. And so it's like the little simple things like that. It's just, looking for those positive things, and also paying someone a compliment, and I feel like men are specifically at a deficit when it comes to compliments, because I think when women put makeup on, they get dressed up, they walk around, they'll get, people whistling at them, their girlfriends will come up to them and say, hey, you look great. But men don't do that with each other. Your guy friends don't necessarily say, hey, you're looking good or whatever. So I feel like men are operating at a deficit when it comes to compliments. And I think that a spouse or a significant other, that's an area that they can say, you know what, let me be generous here. Just give my husband or, a real compliment on a regular basis. So those are the kind of tips that I really give people. And they seem very basic, but they go a long way.
Oh, they sure do. They sure do. And the wonderful thing about saying thank you and expressing gratitude, I mean, number one, it feels great to express gratitude yourself, and then on top of that, I don't think I've ever had a client ever say I'm getting too much gratitude, or too much appreciation. It's like that you just don't hear that complaint.
Yeah, absolutely. And being authentic about it too. It's
yeah.
If you're making it up, authenticity is the key to life. And I think that's where confidence comes from. And that's where people feel comfortable with you when they see that you're being authentic. And so if you're going to pay a compliment, really look for those things that you value in your significant other and highlight them and express that, there's so many things that we think in our minds or we might tell others, but we don't tell the individual. And they don't know how we feel. They don't, so that's really important. Those are the big tips that I've been giving out lately.
Well, there are two such, great fundamental things. And as you say, they're too often forgotten. And people even get into the mindset, which is really off, which is, oh, well, I don't want to spoil this other person or they're going to leave me if I tell them they're so great and all of that. And wow, is that a way to make that worst thought happen? So again, that's a great thing for people to just remember over and over. How long has it been since I gave my partner a compliment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've seen this all over the world. I mean, these things are so common. They go across cultural boundaries, and it's such an amazing thing that kids pick up when they see that going on between their parents. It's worth 1,000 lectures. It's worth more than that when they see their parents complimenting, expressing gratitude, that kind of thing to each other. That's one of the most powerful things that a couple can do for their children also.
I totally agree. And you bring up a great point, because while it's important for us to have great relationships, that's the only way that your children will actually model having a great relationship. They're not going to just learn that stuff. If they don't see it at home, it's very difficult for them to figure that out on their own. And, it's unfortunate. And I think we talked about this, that they don't teach this in school. They don't teach it in high school. They don't teach it in college. And it's not until somebody has a bad relationship that then they go out and look for therapy or self-help books or whatever. So it's not one of those things that we do proactively, but it's just so important, because then it's just a cycle of you having bad relationships, and then your children, and so on and so forth. So it's just such an important thing for you, and it affects every area of your life as well.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier on about people, particularly as they're looking for a relationship, kind of looking for some of the things that they think are the most important things to be looking for in terms of status and that kind of thing. And how these things really in the long run don't usually work as far as really maintaining passion and happiness. And so what kinds of things do you counsel the individuals you work with in terms of what are good things to look for? What are you recommending along those lines?
Yeah, so in terms of how I match people, we're looking at core values. I mean, the physical attributes are important, and I don't think that they should be discounted for the most part, because you have a certain attraction to a particular look. But beyond that, you need to look for the same core values, the same life goals, similar life goals that mesh well, and certain personality traits. But none of it is really about money and things like that. I mean, education, depending on what those core values are, because education can fall into one of those. It would be sometimes difficult for someone who's a professor and who's highly intelligent. They want someone who they're compatible with intellectually. But also, it's just making sure that you have the qualities that you're looking for. A lot of times, people want to date up, and it's, like, you need to be the person that you want to meet. If you want someone who's not critical, you can't be critical. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, people complain that someone's judgmental, but they're judgmental. Or so those negative qualities that somebody might have that they might need to work on, work through that stuff before you try to partner up, because energetically, I think we attract, people who are at the same energetic level. If you're a low self-esteem type of person, and you're going to attract someone like that as well. So it's really important to be healthy, to be whole before you try to partner up with someone, because we want two whole people together. And then the key is that look for the same qualities that you're willing to bring to the table as well.
Very, very important. It's like if you really want to attract that other person, be ready. Because
exactly.
You've got some, otherwise you're not going to be able to, in the best sense of the word, hold them. You won't be able to appreciate those qualities in them if you haven't learned to appreciate them in yourself.
Absolutely. It reminds me of that quote, and I can't remember the person, but it's luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that is so true. So if you're a single person, prepare yourself to meet that person that's going to show up and be your best self and be authentic and all that good stuff. And it's important to work on yourself. You want to be, like, I have people who get out of these long-term relationships and then they quickly want to start dating again. And there's no formula for how long you should wait. But at the very least, you need to find yourself again and figure out who you really are, because there's a lot that gets lost in a relationship. And so you really want to be as authentic as possible when you meet that next person, so that you can see from there if those two individuals are going to get along. But if you're not really who you are yet, it's going to be difficult, because all of a sudden, the real you will show up, and that's not going to work. So that's really important. And then I also talk to folks about making sure that they are clear on what it is that they want and need in a relationship. Because I find that people date in a way where they're just waiting for the right person to almost miraculously show up. So they have no specific goals or understandings of what they're looking for in a relationship. And you spend years and years just bouncing from relationship to relationship because you're not clear. So I think that's really important.
It's very important, and it's remarkable because you see people putting a lot of research and planning into all sorts of things in their life, and something that ends up being probably the most fundamental aspect of being able to feel happiness in a successful life. It's sort of like, well, I'm just waiting for it to come to me. Why isn't it happening, or whatever? Or I'm going to places where the chances of meeting the person that I really want is not likely to show up there. And why am I showing up there even? You know?
Exactly. Every time that I hear people say, they'll say, well, I want to meet someone organically. And I'm like, well, what does that mean, organically? I mean, to me, like when I do a whole presentation about organic love. Organic love means that you are truly being who you're supposed to be, and you don't have all these added fillers and, you know, what people call baggage from past relationships and things like that. But in terms of putting effort into meeting someone, that's important, and you can do that organically, but still you need to, it's the same things like if I want to buy a house, I'll do all the research and I'll go to a realtor and I'll, you know, look on the internet, and then lo and behold, the house is there and now I can buy it and I'm good to go. But when it comes to love, people think that it's just supposed to miraculously happen without putting any effort into it, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. It definitely doesn't from my observations either. And all of us start out that way. I mean, I definitely went through the early periods along that, and from the experiences like yourself, I realized, hey, there's something about approaching it this way that isn't really making sense. I got to look at what I'm doing. What do I really want? Where am I most likely to connect? And unless we start asking those kinds of questions, it's pretty hard to achieve what it is we say we're looking for.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, I've been posting, I've been social media because I'm always, when I hear people say, oh, relationships are hard, I'm like, no, they take effort. They don't need to be hard. And if you're putting that kind of belief system out there and you're saying relationships are supposed to be hard, your relationship will be hard. Whatever you focus on, whatever you say, that's exactly what you're going to manifest. So just, know that there's effort that goes into it, but they can be easy. In fact, where I'm most comfortable and easy is when I'm with my husband. And it doesn't matter what task I have to embark on. The most difficult task, cleaning the garage. It won't together, we put the music on, we might have a couple of cocktails, and we get through it, and we're high-fiving at the end, and the task becomes easier. So I'm not a proponent of people, and I know some relationship coaches say, oh, relationships are hard. They're not meant to be hard. They're supposed to be easy. Just put effort into it. There's a difference.
Right. The hard really comes when we try to make them who they're not.
Exactly.
Make ourselves who we're not. That's hard.
Yeah, and that reminds me of one of the things that I talk to people about all the time is, we've all kind of been raised on this idea that we should follow the golden rule. The golden rule, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you, the law of reciprocity and all that. Mm-hmm. And it's really well intended, but I don't think that it works when it comes to relationships. So I always talk about upgrading to the platinum rule. The platinum rule is to treat others the way they want to be treated. So instead of the golden rule assumes that people want what you want, but the platinum rule does not make assumptions. You put the time and effort to find out what someone needs to feel loved, and then for that matter, find out what you need to feel loved, and then you can communicate that. And so imagine a world where couples are treating each other the way they want to be treated. It's so much better than making those assumptions. So I think that that's a game changer.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And That's
That's
worth,
worth
that's a
that's
$1,000
$1,000
tip right
right
there.
there.
We're getting a little bit of feedback. I hope it's not coming through to our audience. I'm not sure what exactly talking, but that seemed like I think that's going to be okay. I noticed my voice cutting in and out, but hopefully it's not. Does that appear to you also on your side?
You're fine.
Okay. So, so what I'm realizing is that the time is flying by, as I knew it would, and I want to make sure that we have time for you to tell our audience about what your free gift is. And so if you're willing to do that at this point, that would probably be good.
Absolutely. So if you go to my website, which is arlenevasquezwashburn.com, and /free gift, I will have a gift for you, which is a mini course that you can take absolutely free. And it's a mini course about having great relationships. So some of the things that I mentioned today, I'll expand a little bit upon that. And you'll be able to watch it or listen to it at your own pace, and it's absolutely free. So it's arlenevasquezwashburn.com /free gift. And I hope you'll download it and enjoy a little, secret sauce about having great relationships.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I appreciate that. And if also the audience will look for a link after this video, that's another way of connecting for that free gift. And so that's a very generous gift, and I appreciate that offer.
Thank you. I'm happy to provide it.
So because of the time, unfortunately, we're going to need to wrap up now. But again, I really appreciate your being on the series today and offering what you have. And bless you in terms of your own continuing work. You're doing wonderful work, I know. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate your being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate the work you've done as well. So I hope, to stay in touch, and please download the free gifts. And thank you all.
So that's we'll conclude our program for today, and definitely look for the link on the other side, and we'll see you for the other interviews. And until then, have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye-bye.